Where's all
Or if I
the
choose
Where's
them.
all the smudges and shitter on the top though?
We ordered them without.
Yeah.
It will happen.
You give it like a week.
We need to put stuff in the dishwasher so it doesn't happen.
All right. Thanks all for joining. How long do we have?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a
Hour and a
half. Great. Because I think we need that. Last time it was just before, so it depends a little bit on your questions as well. A couple of things which I think are interesting, LinkedIn. We did a survey and 93 skimmers replied how you are using LinkedIn. We have 8 people from the UK. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There's 11 of us in total.
Almost everyone replied, which is great. So I'll show that. I didn't break it out for UK, but I did show the whole company-wide. The last few years, it's been, Surab spent a bit of time. This year, we sort of, Bill and I looked at it from a new perspective. We looked at, okay, what's our level at LinkedIn at Skim? That level we called fundamentals. And then later this year, we have more specific sessions for instance, HR to recruit, or for BD specifically, which is more focused on those. So this is still sort of fundamental. There's 4 things. A little introduction at Skim, LinkedIn at Skim. I've worked at a few companies. Most companies are very open about it, but not all. I think it fits Skim very well, and I'll explain a little bit why. Then a key thing is optimize your profile. I think you all have that. I think there's some practical tips and tricks how to make that better. And also to think from a LinkedIn perspective, how they rate your profile. And then the 2 last chapters, we can make a little bit interactive depending on how you already use it. Network and context is pretty key. There's different functionality which you may already know, but I think there's a few things there that you may not know, which means you can improve. And last but not least, groups specifically very important within LinkedIn, because it's also an opportunity, particularly I would say in London, based on my experience, to get invited, for local events. So it's not just will help you with contacts, but it will also help you with with understanding what's around, what's to do in London, and also it helps you with content and content that you may like. So approximately 15 minutes each, except for the introduction, and then depending on your questions, we'll be ready in just over an hour, hopefully within an hour and a half. Okay, so it's Kim and LinkedIn. Who remembers this photo?
Me.
Paris. So exactly, I was there. It was my first. It wasn't even my first day. I was sort of a mystery guest. Most of you were there. It was even with partners, and I took this photo because I think it's sort of showcases Skim. It's a very open company. We do a lot with partners as well. It's all about networking. I remember I was so surprised there was even a person there that worked for Skim 20 or 30 years ago who was invited. And this is actually also what LinkedIn is. This is all about networking. It's not just about the now and the here and now, which is obviously very useful, but it's also about the people that you have met in the past, and obviously the people you'll meet in the future. For me, from experience, the more jobs you get, the more interesting this is gonna get. When I started this 3 jobs, I didn't know how interesting it would be. Today, and I will show you as well, it helps me tremendously on a day-to-day basis, right? Without doing a lot of activities for it. So why does it link very well with Skim? And obviously Skim, this is from the deck that Karen presented to you, I think at the end of last year. Now we're international, we're modern, dynamic, evolving, individual, invigorating, inventive, inspiring. And I think all of that fits very well also with LinkedIn. On top of that, we're a service company. Particularly the services industry is obviously very well served in LinkedIn. A little bit underused are the manufacturing companies. Yeah, or the agriculture companies or companies that have less skilled labor. More overrepresented on LinkedIn is obviously the work, the type of work we do, which has to deal with knowledge. So service companies based on knowledge. So from a work perspective, LinkedIn is ideal for us to do that. And I remember also end of last year, we were in Holland at least, we were invited for one of those Vitality Awards. And I don't know, we didn't win it, but there were 5 companies there. We were the only company that were sort of, our product was knowledge. The other companies were, I think it was a bakery, it was a logistical company. And at least they're not used to social media at all, and certainly not at LinkedIn at that stage. So I think that's why it fits as well. Also, we see it as an opportunity, not a threat. A lot of companies, don't forget, see this as a threat. You're not allowed to use any social media. I mean, there are companies that have this, no Facebook, no Pinterest, no Twitter, nothing. It's just a waste of space. And I think here at Skim, we really want to embrace it, and we want you to embrace it, which is also why we, give a little training in that. LinkedIn started in 2003, so it's already there for about 13 years. 5,000 employees, so pretty big. More and more profiles. 2 years ago, I did a training, or 3 years ago, I did a training at the other company. There was only 200 million profiles. Now there are 277 million profiles. So it's still growing. Quite a bit of, opportunity if you think about it, who you want to meet with, particularly in our industry. In London or in the UK, there's a high proportion of that. Obviously, it's biased towards English. So American, if you're American or English, you're very well in the sweet spot. And there are more than 1.5 million groups. And it's still growing, so it's still not plateaued out. For instance, other social media, Facebook, maybe there's some question marks. LinkedIn is still growing, and it's still very growing rapidly. This comes back from our own survey. 93 people completed this. And you can see almost everyone who completed this in Skim is on LinkedIn. Yeah, there was just one that wasn't on LinkedIn, didn't have a profile. That person is in Atlanta. Obviously, it's anonymous, so I can't tell who, but but I told Bill, do your thing in Atlanta first. And again, there's other social media as well. Wouldn't surprise. Actually, Twitter surprised me quite a bit, so 50% still, but pretty good. We're already on LinkedIn.
How much do you think of that as self-selection, like the people who would respond to the LinkedIn survey?
Well, 93, I think, was it 120 people that work with us, 125? So it's 25 not.
For all the trainings that we've had, like when Saurabh gave us, he always had, like if you didn't, you had to sign up for it. So I'd be curious to know.
There's 25 people that didn't fill in the survey. I think it's not because they're not on LinkedIn, but maybe they just didn't have time. Or
we're only 130 people.
Yeah, but I think there's probably a lot of people who are on there who
I always say that
might have a presence but aren't active. So
yeah. I always say we're 150 people.
125, something like that. So interestingly, from social media perspective, it's the most used social media tool, right? Even more than Facebook and others, which is good. Usage-wise, pretty big, pretty good. Almost a quarter uses it daily. And over half weekly. Who uses it daily or weekly?
Daily or weekly, yeah.
Anyone monthly? No, so you're in. Okay, so you're in the purple bar. The rest is sort of in the first two pies by the charts of the pie. Okay, cool. I would say pretty good. What I've seen in other companies, particularly our kind of companies, this is already very good. If we asked why do you use LinkedIn, this is the most, the biggest reply is half of the 93 people says being inspired with my eyes. So that's just your basic human curiosity. People want to know who they meet, who they see, who is who, right?
The second one is actually a subcategory of the first one.
And the second one is exactly a little bit more specific. Half of them spies on colleagues or ex-colleagues, where they go or where they're from.
So less externally focused, but more internally.
More internally.
Well, actually, half internally and half externally.
If they were once
This is mine?
Yeah.
So it appeals to basic human curiosity, and particularly, to colleagues who you see most frequently. And obviously, we had also quite a big changes. Some people left, and some people joined. And the first thing you do is check them on LinkedIn, right? So, not a surprise, but good to know how we use it at the moment. If you look at level, analysts, managers, directors, just we put everything on these three buckets. You see on the left axis that obviously 50% of our people is analysts, and average number of contacts is about 300. Yeah, for an analyst. For a manager, the average contact, we have approximately one fourth of our people, skimmers, are managers, and the average number of contacts is the red line, which is about 500, and then the few directors we have, or closer to a fifth, they obviously help the average up because their level is about 700. So what I'll show as well is the number of contacts you should have, or the barrier you need to cross is 500. So for the people who don't have 500 yet, that's your target for this year.
But usually on the
Yeah.
profile, it
And
shows-
I'm going to show you how that works and what we can do.
That's why
Can I
Yeah.
put that on my PDP
Yeah,
as a
so
goal?
anything above.
You can.
No, so you
Yeah.
get-
How many do you have?
I have no idea. I never
Okay.
worked it.
Okay. But 500 is a goal because the reason is because LinkedIn doesn't specify anymore after 500. It used to do it in the first few years. You could exactly see how many contacts people have. But if you now have more than 500, it just says 500 plus. And it gives you different rights. Yeah, so if you're 499, you have less rights than 500. So you need to cross it because it helps your visibility and it helps you with a lot of things. So that's a goal, right? And then it's not too easy. It's not too difficult. It will take a bit of time, but it's certainly doable. And if we look at across functions, I don't think this will be a big surprise, but you see that really commercial people use it more daily and weekly. Business operations use it more, on a weekly basis and still monthly as well, and then the rest is sort of spread over. Yeah, which is, I think, what you would expect. And staff, that could be finance or HR. And again, from HR, I would expect also that they use it more on a daily and weekly basis. So that's a little bit of an information about, how we at Skim use it, which is pretty good. Later, if we go to networking, I'll also break it down by office. So profile. So let's start with profile. Profile is one of the most important things at LinkedIn. It really, how you write up your profile depends how people look at you, and how people look at you depends how people accept you if you send them an invite or not. Right, so it's really critical. What I always say with a profile, it's like marketing, it's like positioning. Right, it's not necessarily all the things that you've done, or all the jobs you've had, but it's really your choice of who you want to be. Right, it's your stake in the ground. If you want to be a passionate researcher, or if you want to be an industry expert, or if you want to be a knowledge worker, whatever, it's your choice. You need to stake your ground. So a lot of problems comes when you go from one job to another, or when you get promoted. Okay, that's first you have one job description, and then you get a second and then a third, and obviously it gets messy. If you get to your fourth or fifth, it gets really messy. So you really need to think, okay, this is not about my whole CV and whole showcase. It needs to be what you want to be, and we'll show that as well in the few boxes. So think about it first. Do I want to be on LinkedIn? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be international? Do I want to be a researcher? Do I want to be professional? Whatever, it's your choice. All the rest follows from that strategic choice, right? So you need to determine your position. LinkedIn has different profiles. They recognize 5 different profiles. They recognize beginners, intermediate, advanced, experts, and all stars. Right, and this is just a technicality. So the more functions you fill, the more you get an all-star. Doesn't say anything about the quality. It just says something about the completeness of your profile. Does anyone know what they are? Can you see? All-star here, one. Pretty complete. Great. You don't have a computer? Okay, log in. All right, pretty good. So all-star is basically you filled all the boxes. You ticked all the basic, let's say, things that LinkedIn looked at first. Again, it doesn't say much about your quality, but it does say you're complete. Become an all-star is not difficult. You just do these 7 things, and you're an all-star. Right? So first thing, if you don't have a profile photo, you need to have one. Nobody links with a person that doesn't have a photo. Yeah, if you want to be on LinkedIn and you want to play this game, you need a photo, and it's obviously needs to be a nice photo. I think we all have new photos. People, like to see a, pretty face, or a professional face at least, or a smiling face. Yeah.
If you can't be professional.
List a few positions. Particularly if it's 1 or 2, it's good with your roles. But if you had 20, you don't have to list them all 20. Huh? You need to actually think the other way around. It needs to be more simple. Tick the skill box as well. Which 5 key skills do you have? A core summary about yourself, coming back to the positioning, who you want to be, and some information about your industry, where you come from, where you went from school. And the key thing is just to have a lot of connections. Yeah. Again, 500 connection will take you a while, particularly if you have, 20 or less than 100. The first 100 or 200 might take you, a couple months, a year. But then the next 300 might take you, 6 months. And when you have 500, the next 500 might take you also a year. Yeah. So it's obviously progressively easy. Again, when I started, I didn't know. It takes you quite a while to build them up, and I have some tips as well how to build it up. But once you cross 500, it gets much easier. Your profile again is your online business card, and there's 3 key spaces in LinkedIn where you can fill this in: personal, expertise, and professional. You need to fill this in. You need to complete this, and don't use a lot of text. Again, if it's your first job, it's quite easy. If it's your 5th job, people think I'll fill in, a lot of blah blah. But if there's just too much, it doesn't come through. It needs to be punchy. It needs to be short. Again, it needs to be who you want to be. Give an example, maybe. Shall we look at one? Sarah, let's look at yours. Senior research analyst. Very good photo, including an interesting background photo. Very important.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, they changed it about 2 or 3 months ago, that you can have a background photo in. So I just only had one to hand, and I thought it looked really horrible with grey. So I just changed something, but it's quite nice to have.
Yeah, I've seen some people that put a small one. It's so pixel.
Yeah.
So bigger.
Yeah, and you see a summary, pretty short. Just 3 parts.
And then I put a picture of Gemma in there.
Exactly. Why is that?
It was a video, but then the link
Started there.
changed. They changed the.
Which is a bit weird, but hey, we're not here to criticize. We're here to show exactly.
That's a bit weird.
The summary is pretty good, right? This is good. I'm passionate about understanding people. A little bit of background, and that's fine, right? Okay. So again, this will take you 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you don't have it. Keep this up to date as well. I'll tell you later, but obviously this is changing. Every time you get promoted or you make a move to another office or to another role, you can update. You don't have to. You can still be a food enthusiastic, or you can still be a good researcher or whatever you have. You don't have to update it all the time, but sometimes it's relevant.
Have you seen, like, of those 3 categories that you have, like, one works better than the other?
No, you just need to make sure usually the personal part is what stands out a little bit. Particularly if you have 20 years of expertise, what you tend to see is you know, a lot is not necessarily better. Yeah, because again, I can say I have automotive, I have healthcare, and I have, you know, whatever, but people don't really care. You know, the question is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be now? If you have everything there, people will stop reading, which is why it needs to be punchy, short. And obviously, if people look from outside the industry, they will look first at professional. So if they're looking for a market researcher with experience in communication and claims, this is what you fill in terms of, you know, professional. Then they'll look at, okay, I'm looking for somebody who has 5 or 10 years experience. And then, you know, what stands out is usually your personal thing. Yeah, I'm doing this as well. I'm baking cookies, or, you know, I'm working in the food industry, but I'm a cookie monster, whatever, right? So it needs to be. I work in beverages, but I'm an alcoholic as well. Yeah. Yeah. You can enhance your profile with URLs. The best URL is, as you can see here, which is very easy. You can just make a LinkedIn. Margreet decided here to put her email address, to link the Skim website, to link to the career website, but you can also personalize your own URL. So I'll show you. Do you have one, Sarah?
Didn't think I did.
Okay, so let me, how do I do this easy? Let me do mine. I think I have. Yeah. It makes it easier. You can see it here. UK-linkedin.com Robert-Docent. So you can copy and paste that.
Oh, I do have that.
Yeah, that URL, and you can just send it. You can put it on your business cards, on your email. It's just very easy. It's personalized, and people can just immediately see, you know, based on the link.
If you want to see a real LinkedIn enthusiast, if you type in Robert again, this guy. Look on it. Yes, do you know the person? Because he keeps on like adding people, but yeah, I think he has like 10,000 connections or something crazy.
No, I think I met him once at an IMS event, but
That's probably most of his connections have met him once, isn't it?
exactly.
He talks about himself in the third person. I'm a bit worried, to be honest.
I've never met the guy before, but I think
Yeah,
He's
no.
a doctor, so he has to
Yeah.
make sure that you know.
To add some credibility to you, because
Oh, we'll come to that later, because
So
you
it'll be
can
you, Elker, in a year or two, right?
you can compare yourself with your peer group, or with your colleagues, and we'll see, because that's useful, because then you just know, first of all, if your profile works. Secondly, if people, you know, really click on you for that reason, and in which bucket they compare you. So the fact that he comes up, you know, with me is obviously because of the same name, but also because he is in my first, but also because he is in pharma expert, which is what I want, right? I want to be in the consumer health or pharma space. So this is just easy. Complete your details, use the URLs, and make sure you set your profile at public. You can also, and the security details, you can put it on private, but nobody wants to share with a private person. You know, LinkedIn is there to be open. If you don't want to be open, you know, don't go on LinkedIn. Very simple. You don't have to. So also what works, I put a phone number as well. And it's not that you think, well, everybody will phone me. It's just not the case. You know, only once or twice, you know, people will call you, but it's not going to be, you know, every day. Yeah, up to date. This is usually what people forget. You know, when you're on LinkedIn, we're all on that daily or weekly. You're not there to update your profile all the time, right? But at least look at it once a year, I would say. You know, I need to do it. I've not done it for a year now. But you know, so usually it's after a job change, a new role, a promotion, or after a public presentation. You know, I need to load up my last presentations. All right, so again, I'm a bit guilty as well not doing it. But if you leave it more than a year, you see that people are not really interested anymore because it becomes outdated.
What is your opinion of the basic function of LinkedIn? Will that do anything for you?
Yeah, I'll address that here as well. Yeah. Um, what is useful is obviously the better your profile is, and the more you are using LinkedIn, the more your profile becomes recognized by others. So if you're not using it, I mean, you're just opening it, you're not updating your profile, you're not sharing anything, and just have it passively, and you just use the search function, but then you're not outgoing on anything, then you will see your profile hits will go down. So you need to sometimes share an update. Doesn't have to be all the time, or publish a post or something. So I mean, there can be a lot of things that we can do, because obviously what we are a knowledge company. We share a lot of knowledge publicly. So it doesn't have to be your own knowledge. It could be company knowledge. Scott does a lot of webinars. Yeah, so load up your webinar or a link to it. Last week we had a congress, we had a few presentations. It doesn't have to be yours, you can just link it up. What I did yesterday or the day before, or you guys did as well, I believe, was the update from the London office as we're hiring.
It's quite difficult to find the post after you do it. Or are you guys able to find it? Because
No, it's just like Facebook. You can never find posts
yeah,
that your
like,
friend posted 2 or 3
I think
days
I made a
ago.
mistake and I posted about the MIE conference, but it was something that already happened and I wanted to delete it.
And then it's
Couldn't
gone.
find it.
Couldn't find it.
But 160 people saw, but it's not super easy to use.
True, true.
So, but I said,
I mean, for finding posts, it's not really the best. I mean, I would use groups to find the content, but to keep your profile up to date, it's a good way. Again, if you look at who looked at me the last few days, it's probably to do with the update I shared on the vacancies we have in the London office, or at the speech at the congress I gave last Thursday. You know.
I think if you click on the below, you can go to your.
To the.
Can you click that in the 336? It's maybe after post. Yeah.
Wow. More people viewed your post than my post.
Yeah, but that's, we'll come to that, why that is as well.
Because it's a competition?
No. Because I think more people are linked with me than with you.
Maybe.
So when does it become a view? Someone scrolls down and on our page and they see your post.
When they
That's
click.
a good question.
You need to click on it.
Yeah.
No,
So simply by scrolling, you're giving away views.
I think it's scrolling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's clicking.
We will see that. I'll have, you can, if you click here, you can actually see that. Huh? Who's view your profile? Who's for you if you viewed your post? Okay, I have the one. Now you can see.
I can't see this because I don't want people seeing. I've turned this off.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
don't want, like, if I stalk a friend, I don't want them to see that I stalk them.
Yeah.
So it means I can't see who's
So
stalking.
this whole system is quid pro quo. The less you allow,
Yeah.
the less you
Are allowed.
are allowed.
Yeah.
So, which is why my principle is to be as open as possible. If you don't want it, you shouldn't do it. If you really want to be good, you need to be really open. Okay. Let's go further because I'll address this later. So yes, it's an opportunity to share an update. Again, it can be an update about yourself, but it doesn't have to be. It can be the benefit of working at Skim is that we have lots of content which is interesting to to people, so you can share that. Also, it allows you to a little bit to Elke's question. You can like other updates. Sometimes I use this. I don't use this a lot, but I just again use it to people that I know. For instance, Anke Snevely, I know her. She moved from Schiphol to Germany to work for Nutricia. I see she's working now 6 years. I just click. You can just click like. You don't have to do that all the time for all people, but it just makes sense in this context. I know her. I know where she works. I have dealt with her. So that's also a very easy way to, let's say, to use your LinkedIn and to stay up to date a little bit. Yeah.
Kind of keeping in touch without actually talking as well.
Exactly. And what you'll notice as well is, for instance, when I spoke last week, and Skims shared the link, people like it as well. Not a lot, but maybe I think 5 or so. So again, this is not about quantity. You don't want to be, this is not a game of being like most. This is not really like Facebook. But what it does is, on a regular basis, if you do this once in a while, your profile stays current. Yeah, by doing all these things. Not all the time, but just a few things all the time. You stay current.
Is there a subcode for LinkedIn?
What do you mean?
Well, if I can't have an hour
Just put it on
liking
BT.
stuff.
BT. Oh, unless you're on it for knowledge, but if
Well-
it's for growing your network.
But on average, if you ask me how much time I spend on a day-by-day basis, it's maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, and that's a lot. Yeah, so it's not that I haven't updated my profile in a year. A click on like is one click. It's a second. If you really use it to look somebody up, it's a couple of minutes. Yeah, but it's not something. I just have it open, right?
Mhm.
Again, if you need to increase your contact base, it takes a little longer because you need to think about that. But if you spend, 50 minutes every day, I would say it's a good start. Yeah, there's another way of staying up to date. You can also see that in your connection in your inbox. Yeah, so if I go to my inbox, yeah, you can see here. Well done, Scott. Yeah, you can see here very easy. You have the flags. Scott published something here. 9 people looked at my profile. 2 new connections. An old colleague in HR liked my hiring. Gabi and Marika, they presented with me as well last week, Thursday. So you can see basically what I've done in the last 6 days, people look at. And here is, people that message you. So sometimes, and here are the invitations. So sometimes, when you set that up, you can see that in your inbox. Yeah, and then you can personally congratulate people rather than everybody seeing it. If we're doing this through update, everyone can see it. If I through this through messages, it's just for them. Nobody else sees that.
You
Yeah.
tend to get a better response.
Yeah.
Like if you congratulate someone on their status, they don't reply and say thanks.
Exactly. So there's different horses for courses. If you want just a current, you want your profile to be current, you just do it publicly. You do it once, I don't know, every 2 or 3 weeks, not often. If you want somebody to respond, if you go somewhere, you better do it through messages because then it's more personal and the response is better. Okay. We already did this. Who viewed your profile? You can actually see who viewed it. Very useful because again, I already showed you in my case what happened in the last 7 days. But also you can see on your level, and sometimes you are a little bit more active than not. But more importantly, I wanted to show you this one. You can actually see the titles or the job roles of people that look at you and which industry they work. And this is obviously important because if you, again, back to positioning, I want to be a researcher, with a commercial background, international in pharmaceuticals, consumer health. And then if this doesn't come through here, then obviously that doesn't work. So you can see here that sort of that profile works because people that click on me, 15 salespeople, 5 researchers, a few marketing specialists, a few consultants, and mostly pharmaceuticals and market research, a few in information technology. This is exactly how my profile is, right? So here, this is a sort of a mirror. If this doesn't reflect what you want, then probably your profile is wrong. Yeah. What you could use to do is you also used to do this. You could see also by geography, and you can still do that, but on a different way. And I'll show you later, because again, that's useful as well. Today you're based in London. In 2 years' time, you may be based in Rotterdam or in the US or in Singapore or wherever, and you will see you build up your networks there. And it's obviously very easy and very good if you can search geographically. And you can. I'll show you. So this sort of concludes the first part. It's all about profile. And these are just examples. If you read books about it, you know, they call it different characters. You need to be, but this comes back to my point that you need the positioning. You know, you need to determine for yourself where you want to be. And LinkedIn themselves, they define, you know, you want to be a social expert, you want to be a connector, you want to be a salesperson. These are just a few examples of what you want to be. If you decide what you want to be, then if you're a salesman, then obviously you need to be more persuasive. You need to tell your own story, good, etc., etc. Yeah, but again, this comes back to what do you want to be? Yeah. Obviously important, because it's like, you know, PDPs. It's not just about your current performance, but it's about what do you want to do next. Next within Skim or not, it doesn't really matter. If you're now a researcher, but you you're a researcher in a particular sector, but you want to be a researcher in another sector, then obviously what you do in your LinkedIn, you also emphasize the other sector more. Yeah, and we'll come back to that in the next chapters. When you start networking or when you start looking for content, you obviously have to link it back to your profile again. Again, if you have now experience in communication, but you want to be more on the advertising side, whatever, I'm just making this up, you know, then you can also link this more to advertising companies or content that's around there. Okay. Any questions so far? Pretty clear, I'm sure. Okay, let's continue. Network and contact. So from the 93 people that responded to our survey, this is how they are allocated across the offices. Rotterdam 45, London 8 people, and you can see average over 400 contacts. Pretty good.
Just over 500.
Pretty good, I would say. Yeah, just shy of 500. So, you know, if we have 1 or 2 coming up to the 500 mark, you'll cross there.
I'll be there in a couple of years.
Here we go. Also good for Bill, because we discussed this already with Oscar, which is why when I'm in New York, I'll spend half a day teaching the New Yorkers how to work this. Which is very surprising. Very surprising.
Maybe they only keep quality content and they dislike.
Some people are not surprised.
They have a lot of new people too. That's gonna bring it down.
No. We'll see later. I think it's more the activity they do is very much more project. They're not looking externally a lot. That's my explanation, and I think others as well.
Business development in the office.
Here we go. But it shows. It shows. Yeah. Again, this is not bad. This is overall pretty good. I mean, I'm impressed what you already do, and in Rotterdam as well. We're certainly not novices, but we can still improve a little bit. Interesting here is we did a little correlation. Nijat went out of his way. I said, do a correlation, give me, and you can see that does it correlate. You know, LinkedIn exists 13 years, and I don't know who is the dot at 12 years, but it's not me.
Are you the dot?
Exactly, I'm the dot up there. If we take me out, then you can actually see a correlation, which is 0.55. So, which means the longer you are at LinkedIn, the more logically the more contacts you have. Interestingly, it doesn't correlate with years experience or of work experience. So you can be a dinosaur 35 plus, probably Dirk. Yeah. Although does he have more than 100,000 contacts? He probably has. But it doesn't correlate with with your working age. So it does correlate with how long you're on LinkedIn, which in my experience makes sense because again, the first steps are most difficult. If you're there a few years and you use it on a regular basis, as we discussed today, it will get very easy. The strength of your network, it's not just about the numbers though, right? It's not just about having more than 500. it needs to be also relevant business connections. So in my case, I know most of them. I would say most of them, if not all, are on market research, and they're in the sectors that I worked in or are interested in. I have a few very senior people in there, which is hopefully what you're looking for. Yeah. So you need to be selective. You don't want to be, spamming or inviting everyone, because that's no use. Just to have 500 and you're not going to use it is just not useful.
Then you're just a connection more.
Exactly. You don't want to be that, right? Yeah, this works at first connections. You can search an email. Second degree connections, you can also find and you see the detail. Third level connections, you cannot see a lot of detail, who they are, what they do. You can invite them through, first or second level, but that's really difficult. Better, what you can do, and I'll talk to that in the last part, is you can, if you're not connected to a person that you want to connect with, the best way is to do that through a group. That's a sort of how do you call it, a clever way of avoiding the LinkedIn processes. So let's just do a test. Anyone who wants to, I'll see how good my network is. Do you want to connect with anyone in your company? Unilever, business-wise, private-wise?
I was just trying to find someone. I couldn't find them.
Who?
I was trying to find
Give
someone.
me a name. Go on.
Hannah Watts.
Who's that?
Someone at Unilever.
Oh no, like this?
Yeah, WATTS. I can't find her.
I don't think she has.
So she must just not have LinkedIn.
I think it's a teenager, right? No.
She was in laundry and now she's in.
Is she it? Okay, so let's just do companies Unilever.
This is maybe not a good example.
Oh,
I can't find it.
that doesn't matter. We needs to be a bit challenging, yeah? Unilever. People who work at Unilever. Okay, 80,000. And then we look for UK. And then we look for past company. Anything? Give them away.
Industry would be.
Well, we already know they're Unilever.
I can't do names here. Can I do names? I can do names. Yeah? Needs to be all
Maybe not
connections.
first. There you go.
Sarah?
Hannah.
Anna?
Well, poor Sarah.
Yeah.
WATTS.
No. Okay. Failed.
Stefania, the
Failed.
other lady,
It's the
Italian
Oh,
lady.
your favorite one.
at Unilever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine, Stefania.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Stefania.
Apparently, they almost did not hire me, but
Scardazioni. SC. I'll just type.
Does it work? Come on.
I think if you put the cursor in Stefania and then enter, then it should go. Scardazioni.
The second one.
Holy cow! No wonder she's not
The one
no,
at
the
the
second
bottom,
one.
yeah. But she's got some really nice
Nini.
recommendations.
And Terry.
If you click on her profile, she's got some nice endorsements.
From herself.
Yeah, from other
Like
people.
a VP or something. Like
Other people who said they've really enjoyed working with her.
Lekker
She
L'Oreal.
was the terrible one.
Yes.
She still is.
Okay.
She must
She
have put that
hasn't
up at
changed.
record books.
She's a natural leader and gets things done. Takes direct ownership of issues, aligns well.
Threatened to kill them is the
Clear profile though, right?
Yeah, very
Very
clear.
short. 3 makes a, good progression. 3 companies
Let's
makes
hope your
sense.
life is not as boring as your profile.
Well, but
Don't get on the wrong side of Michelle.
Okay, I'm not linked with her, but none of us is, yeah? Armini is.
inspire people and celebrate.
She's got less.
Celebrate beauty, she doesn't have the face for it.
Who's the boss? Who's the boss of the boss? Who's the big boss?
Is there a reason?
Yeah.
Who?
What?
Who do-
I was gonna say
Robert
Vijay.
Bowman,
Robert
but
Bowman.
Who?
that's
Robert?
different- That's different than.
I don't know. I mean,
Wait, but that's not the boss of her.
No.
So you do Ian Reed, the CEO function. I think it's,
The third one, right?
oh, no.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
You found it.
I'm not the boy.
Oh, it's third. Okay.
Influencer.
Yeah.
So you
Because
follow
What is that? Influencer? Is that another
You
LinkedIn
cannot
character?
even, you can follow him, and then if you know him, you can connect next to him.
I'm sure. I'm pretty. Let me think about it. I was linked to a Pfizer. And sorry, I'm just playing a bit. Huh? Um, connections.
Just a heads up when you go to Google.
So much love.
So companies. Pfizer. People work at Pfizer. How many first connections do I have? 34. Where are they based? Mostly here. 4 in the States.
Turn up the power.
Yeah, so maybe okay, not that high up, just VP level, yeah. But again, this is how you can use it, right? Says David Ryan, Philadelphia. No, a bit disappointing. I'm not linked to go to Ian. Sorry.
Very nice.
Kasper Paardenkoper.
Maybe he's a horse buyer.
Yeah, he worked at IMS.
Yeah.
I know him. IMS somewhere, you see. Okay. All right. Enough playing around. Yeah, so anyone knows what Lion means or IDK?
I don't
I
know.
don't.
That's correct.
Online?
LinkedIn Open Networker. So if you're an open networker, you sort of promise not to IDK someone when he invites you, which means people are much more likely to invite you. Because if you IDK them, the problem is if you have more than 5 IDKs, LinkedIn will notice and will restrict your rights.
Oh, wait, so this means if someone invites you to connect and you say, I don't know this person, that's an IDK.
Exactly. So if you, this is really to avoid spam, because they want quality networking and people that you know and met and have a relationship, and they don't want you spamming 1,000 people and then just say, hey, I've met you and blah 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 sales talk. That's what they don't want. So if more than 5 people IDK you, your rights will be restricted.
But surely
Yeah.
all recruitment, all of the people reaching out for HR, like, hey, you considering a job change? You don't
Yeah, so
know.
this is first level. Yeah, so if it's in your first level contact, then then obviously you know them. If it's in your second, it's not so much a problem. If you really don't know them, third or further, and you invite them, and they IDK you, it will get noticed.
And if the recruiters send you an email, they don't necessarily connect with you.
They
before you
cannot
apply.
send an email if they're not connected with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Unless they have, you can if they have an advanced account.
Yeah.
Which a lot of recruiters do.
Because I've gotten like a few
Yeah.
that I don't know who they are. And
Yeah, if they have a premium account, they can, but if you don't have a premium account, these rules apply.
Okay.
And what's the
And how, like, the IDK is like when they just click like no.
Yeah, so if I invite you
Yeah.
for hey Patty, shall we link?
Okay.
And then there's a few options. There's like I need to invite you. Why? I need to
Yeah.
first of all, we've worked together.
Mhm, yeah,
I'm
see
in
that.
your company together. I'm your friend. If I'm your friend, it doesn't work. I have to already fill in your email address.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if I'm saying with you, okay, we work together, and you click, well, I don't know Robert, never met Robert, IDK. LinkedIn will know. We'll keep it. If it's 5 times, if I get 5 times a no, it's more difficult for me to invite. Everyone starts with 3,000 invites, so you can invite quite a lot of people. But after 5 IDKs, this will be reduced quite significantly. So if you've done that, then your invites will stop basically.
Is it the same as ignoring? Because you can either accept or ignore.
Exactly.
Or ignore.
Exactly. So if you say Lion, What it means is I'm an open networker. I'll accept everyone, which sort of puts the barrier very low for other people to invite you.
Getting to 500 will be easy because everybody can just add you.
Exactly.
But you also get a bunch of people that are recruited and not
Exactly. So I'm sort of doing it a little bit. I'm saying I'm lying, but I'm not really, because I ignore some people that I really don't want to connect with.
But if it's Lion, doesn't it just
But I
automatically accept it for you?
No.
Oh, it just that means
You
it
just
can
say
send
it. You have to put it in your profile that you are a lion. You see. Let's look up. Let's look up this guy. What was this guy's name again?
Even Reed?
No, the other one, Robert Siegfried. Does he have it?
I wonder if his middle name is Freud.
Well, he doesn't have it, does it? No. Let's look at my network. Connections. Can I filter on who's the biggest? Connections only. Oops, why does it do that? Yeah, oops. No, it doesn't work.
Oh yeah, like Rowan Illing guy. He's got lion in his title.
Yeah, I see that.
No, but that's that.
In his description, if you scroll down. No.
I thought it was the name of the organization. Yeah, it's like LI something. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this lion.
Oh well.
The acronym stands for thinking of the.
Yeah, no, it's true, but I can't find a good example here. This doesn't work because you get the wrong lions here. Here.
Open nothing.
You still there, Shaz?
His name is Timothy Carr and he works at Uber.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, wait, Shaz.
Yeah, very much so.
From Stroudsburg.
No, it doesn't say, but it does say here.
It's not one person.
Maybe that's because he's not in my first that I don't see that. Let's try again.
So lion is trademarked.
Yeah, it's the trademark of LinkedIn, huh? So it's there. It's there. This is their terminology. Yeah. So very much the spirit is quid pro quo. Eh? The more you share, the more you invite, and the more people accept you, the higher you get at the LinkedIn, let's say, profile, the more rights you get. If you're really a spammer and they want to avoid that, and you get people saying, I don't know this guy, what is he doing, your right will be restricted more. Yeah. Hence, if you are if you have a good profile, you do the things as we discussed, you stay up to date, then usually it gets easier because you get more rights and people usually respond better. New contacts are highlighted flex. We've already seen that. It's easy. Then you can just look at there was 2 or 3 weeks ago for my last course. You can just. This is what I do almost every day. Yeah? So I just have it open. I'm not necessarily do anything, but I just look here. Okay, what happened? Who's looking at me? What happens? Yeah. Sometimes it's with it's interesting because if I have had a meeting or a presentation, or Ilke de Munck was from Ontext, is a new company. We wrote a proposal for them, and I'm seeing, okay, they're checking me out, which is a good thing, right? So then I know they've written the proposal, they've read it, and I think they're just interesting who read it. Also, we'll see that later. If you have in your groups, or if you liked people, you can, for instance, I like Professor Brian Smith. He's one of my friends based in London. He publishes always about pharmaceuticals and strategy. Not that much, once in a while, always interesting stuff. So, I'll like him, and when he publishes something, I'll just get it in my flag. Yeah, so this is also a way to stay up to date. It doesn't cost me any effort. Again, once in a month or so, I see something from him, and I think, okay, this is worth it. What this was about segmentation in life sciences. So I haven't read it, but it could be interesting. Yeah. So this is a way of staying up to date very easily. Advanced search, we did a little bit. You can play around with the relationship and the first and second connections, and here you can also look at the location. Huh? You can see here. The 3,500 connections give me, a reach of almost 4.5 million. So in 277 million LinkedIn users, that's a reasonable reach. And then you can see here where I worked mostly, right? India is not where I worked, but a lot of people linked with me. This is where a lot of pharmaceuticals are. You can see pretty much, I would say the coverage of LinkedIn. Yeah. Pretty international as well, I think you all know this, right? So let's go further. What you can also do is you can search on keywords. So if you look for particular content, you can use the keywords to search or company name. Very, very easy, very easier if you want to go somewhere, or if you went somewhere, or if you're really looking for some person, you could just look within the account. Interestingly, if you do this a year or so, and you do everything from, again, Allergen or whoever, you work there, you will see that suddenly you have, 20, 30 people at that company. And if you have that amount, then you probably linked second connections. You almost link with everyone. Yeah. So again, do this for a year diligently within Unilever, and you'll be able to find anyone. Yeah. I mean, I've done this with Danone now, and we can check, but I think I don't know how many I have. Yeah. So I do connections. You advanced search, or is that
This is just on names.
not good. Need to go to advanced. No, it's a bit too much. It can't be 72,000, right?
I think these are all rather than just your
It usually
and
does current and
and
past.
past. Yeah.
So I need to do only current.
So 29,000.
And then you can filter, so you can only show people in a minute.
Okay, well, let's do country-wise, US only. Well, still 600, yeah. So Danone in the US, 600 people on LinkedIn. Again, I've probably done it now 3 years. So if you do it for a year, Unilever, I mean, you'll have more in Unilever.
So this is anyone. These aren't just your contacts.
Yeah, this is anyone who is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
In the US.
In Danone.
Danone.
Yeah.
But again, if I meet someone through work, it's very likely you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, you don't want to do this with all companies, but again, you do this for 2 or 3 that you work with. Heinz, Unilever, you're fine. BI, Allergen, Pfizer, I don't know, just name a few, right? After a year, you will know quite a lot of people. And you'll know the first 1 or 2 are difficult, but if you meet them, it's fine. Then you get 10, then you have 50. And after 50, people see that they know your colleagues, and they'll accept almost without thinking. Yeah, so once you're at that level that more than 30, 40 people within a company, and you'll invite somebody, they think, whoa, this guy knows my boss, knows the boss of my boss, knows my colleagues, I need to know this guy, and they don't think, and they just accept it.
So why haven't you accepted my request?
Yeah. So,
I'm one of your 235.
yeah, so we covered this. The stronger your network, the more information you'll see from other people, or ask someone with the profile to do the search for you. Yeah, okay, that's not the plan, right? It's possible. We try this ourselves. So the other thing is that you can save. Is it here? Yeah, that's later.
So Google Alerts with LinkedIn.
Yeah, so if you save this, and for instance, again, I work at Unilever, and you do this often, you can save the search for Unilever. You don't have to do this all the time again. I have not done that, but it's easier if you do the search the same. This is the example for Mini. Anyone in the CMK role in Procter & Gamble, she is saved. Yep. This is already what Sarah mentioned. If you really don't know anyone in business and that person is not in SAP, for instance, Klaas, I knew him from before. He worked at GSK in UK. He now moved to Octelion. We've done a little business with them in the past. We do a little business with them in the Netherlands, but I want to do some business with him. Okay, so how do I do that? I send him a customized message through LinkedIn. I'm linked with him, first connection. And it's really easy to just send them something. Most people actually read this on a day-by-day basis. He knows me, he's linked with me, and I said, hey, Klaas, next time I'm in Basel, let's meet up, right? Or, could be anything, really easy, this was, January 18, 2 weeks ago. They do respond. And again, this is why I have my LinkedIn open. Oops. Not necessary to do anything with it every day, although I do a little bit, but I always watch these two flags. Yeah, so because this is a message I got back, and again, I'm not reading all, but I'm staying up to date with these, and I'm looking at what's the latest activity from other people. But those things I always watch. Again, if you use your mobile on your app, you can use these flags as well. You get the flags on your app as well. Right, so very simple. You can't do the rest very easily, typing profile, etc. on your app, but this you can check quite easily on the app as well. Anyone uses the app?
Yeah.
Okay, lots of advanced users. Yeah, so that was to cover the network. The way I use it is also on a regular basis after and before meetings. I always link with people. Sometimes I look them up and I say, see you later. Or when I have the time, again, I didn't have the time this week yet, but when I find the time later this week, I'll think, okay, what did I do this week and last week? And then I just start inviting people that, have been at the meetings I was or have seen presentations. I might share an update. I already did that this week. I did, again, the vacancy thing. I didn't like anybody yet. I didn't congratulate somebody. I didn't post anything. So you don't have to do this all the time, but just, use one of the 5 once in a week. I guess some of you or most of you already do that, right? I'm looking at Scott and Sarah, probably Elk already. You use this a lot. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Patty, using it?
Yeah, I also I'm quite passive. Like I go in and I read stuff. Sometimes I would like. But,
You read, yeah.
Yeah, and then Skim is quite good at sharing stuff, so that's really the easiest way for me to share information. Actually.
Well, I guess you meet a lot of people too, huh?
Yeah.
And when you organize
yeah, actually, Marta
the Marketing Live week again,
yeah.
How many people do you meet?
Yeah.
30, 40?
Yeah. And then we went to a networking event last week, and they already connected with us, and then you look for them.
Exactly, you look for them, and that's again do it for you 6 months diligently or 12. and then the rest comes
Yeah.
relatively easy. With obviously the more link, the bigger your network is, the more people invite you. On average, I get 3 or 4 invites a day now, right? So which means actively I'm not really reaching out a lot. I'm not spending a lot of time. But again, if you now haven't reached 500, you need to spend a little bit of time after that. You just keep it up if you do this.
Yeah, I think most of the people that add me are agency side.
Yeah.
Or
Well-
recruitment side. There's a couple of times I say that
The client
clients have
side,
added me.
Unilever,
but
Heinz, not?
I add them. Like it's rare that they've added me. It's really rare. Maybe you've had.
No, it's the same.
I think there's like 2 or 3 times in 5 years that a client's added me.
Okay.
But I'm very proactive
Maybe
now.
that's
Like
Unilever's policy.
yeah, but Heinz and Danone and yeah. So I if I have a
Danone
meeting,
also, no.
especially if like you think you're just meeting with your client, but you have a debrief, then you can look on the meeting invite, see everyone there, and I add them
exactly.
and then say thanks for the great.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think after a certain one as well.
And that's
When you
fine.
meet them, then
And that's fine.
yeah, then they remember you.
But you will notice after you've done this for a while, so many people at Unilever, again, the next time people see an invite and they see, because the first thing they do is they check who you know. If you know like all the colleagues around them, they feel sort of, okay, I'm sort of retarded here. I'm late. I need to connect because she knows everyone.
Mm.
Right? That's what I've noticed in the last few years.
But also it just gives it supports that you have worked with them. No more like, oh, I'm missing out in something.
Exactly.
It's more missing out. It's more like, oh, they know them.
So while in the beginning it
Yeah.
might be looking like chasing,
Mm.
but after a certain 20 or 30, it's not chasing anymore. You're part of that network. You probably, I would not be surprised if I'm linked with more unknown people than some unknown people.
Yeah.
Right. So again, after a few weeks or months, when you do this for every meeting, it gets much easier.
Or speaking of that, I don't know if I don't think you were here yet, but there was a time where it was recommended that everybody at Skim would be connected. Because I don't think not every,
With each other.
Mm.
But I don't know what you think, because I remember it was more of like, okay, now it's such a medium small company that why not be connected?
Well, that depends. For me, I don't need that, right? I mean, if I have another 100 there, fine, doesn't make a difference. If you want to start, why not? If it's your first job, you don't know anybody else, why not? I would start like that.
I'd say
So-
it's really good for getting the second connections. So like because I know someone at Unilever, you can see more on their profile than if we weren't connected. So I see full merit in everyone at Skim being connected with each other.
And the other thing is, you need to build up your own network here. I mean, and I'm not saying, but maybe next time you work, 4 years in Rotterdam, you'll see there's different skimmers that you can connect with. And again, also, when you have a second job, you will see, spheres of influence in terms of, the ex skimmers or whatever. So you can just see those circles of influence going. So I don't think you need to see this as the here and now. I think it should be a longer term effort that will help you. And again, it's a curve like this. So the first part will be difficult, and then it will go fine. Okay, so I've 20 minutes. Just let's do the last part is groups. Benefit groups is twofold. It's obviously a way for you to filter content, which I think you already use it for, right? But also when you share content, it's good for LinkedIn. This is what they like. So if you look at the functionality they've added over the last few years, it's always this. It's all this sharing, liking, because they want this to be up to date as well, and they want LinkedIn to have a lot of content because that's why people come. So it works two ways. Yeah? It works for you, it works for them. Again, in our business, it's ideal because this is our business, content, which is why the business sector or service sector is overrepresented in LinkedIn and manufacturing and others less, but that's fine with us. And the groups, they filter this content for you. The key benefit is also that when you're not connected, particularly when you're really you're looking for someone and you're not connected, you can connect through a group. So you find this person and you find this person which groups he or she is in, which is often an inside group, and then you just link with that group, and then you can message that person directly.
Sometimes membership is restricted. Right? The admin of the group
Yes.
has to approve your membership.
Indeed. More and more, I think groups are open. So there's sometimes automatic approval because obviously it's too big. The best groups are actually restricted, but then it's obviously difficult to get in. That's actually my one of my messages. If it works, it's great. This is a club I joined when I was VP in IMS. It has 200,000 members. Really, a lot of good marketing content. Yeah.
Can you share that content even if we're not members?
Yes, of course. And because I download a lot of stuff, so I find this is one of the best groups I joined. So for groups, it's both quantity and quality. Yeah, that you can do 50 groups, and also this is where you can find it. And this is an example by Mini. It's like 500 contacts. You need to have 50 groups. It's allowed 50 groups. You can't do more. But if you have 50, it allows you more. Your network is is bigger. It allows you. It has more rights, than if you have 49. So just click to 50. It's easy. Also, you can set for every group. You can set the rights, so you don't have to receive stuff. That you not that you bombarded with stuff. I just basically have all emails and all updates out. Off, so you don't really, only a few like the CMO group I have turned on that every week I get an update from them. But you don't have to receive 50 updates from all of them. You just, switch them off. So this is an overview in your groups. You can see what kind of discussions there are there. After a bit of trial and error, this is obviously also linked back to your profile. If you're not interested in insights, then, don't link with the groups. If you're interested in advertising, link with the groups. If you're interested in marketing, then, link with the marketing groups. And obviously this is a way, I would say, particularly in London, to be invited to these events. The Green Book is a good one. They have lots of free content. We know SMR, you guys went to one of the things, was it last week?
Yes,
Yeah, in UK. Again, you probably know them. When I worked here, I've had a few of those, and you basically are invited almost every week through these kind of things. You're all linked to local groups?
Some, not
Some.
50.
No? No 50?
Eight.
8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
So if you look for the Green Book group, for example.
Yeah. Shall I just look at?
Okay.
Yeah, research buyers and market research. They publish the rankings. This is also a Ray Pointer. I'm following Ray, right? If I like this, I get all the stuff which I get anyway, right? I find this useful, although I'm not linked to this group.
But that's different from the group though. Like what you're looking at right now is the company, and so you can follow the company, and then what they'll do is, so like if you hit follow now, you can any content that the company posts, you'll see, but that's different from the group.
So how because that's this one here. How would you find the group?
Maybe there isn't a
There
group.
might not be. I would bet that there's not actually.
That's the company.
Good.
There's
It says
Rayport,
group.
it's a group as well.
But this is also like, if you find groups, this is helpful because it gives you, like what you see here, all this information, links to their quarters. You can search.
Is it the is this the group? Is this that group? Quarks?
That's probably the company too, if you click on it.
But
That's
there
probably
is
the
a
company.
group for Quirk.
Yes, this is the company itself.
Yeah,
There's
so when-
an inside group.
When you search Quirks on the top, you've got both company and group.
And group.
Yeah.
It was at the bottom.
No, see.
The marketing research and insights group. Forward the pictures.
You were looking for Rayport before.
I'm already a member.
Is Rayport the guy sort of the?
He's the green.
celebrity market research?
Yeah, he's the green book. He is. He's the rainmaker for them.
He's sorry.
The rainmaker. He works for them. Again, you just have to follow him, and then you're fine. And then, at least then you get all the quirks and content. I'm just looking here who's linked here members already. He should be here somewhere. Well, boss. Here, right point. Yeah, see? He's there.
Yeah, you can. So anyone can connect to it?
Of course. I would be. I guess he would be Lion. But he doesn't say that, does he?
Or do you need
Standing
to
at the
be in
intersection.
It doesn't have to be okay.
I can do this one. Long distance together.
Yeah, or group. Well, you don't have a group, but that's why if you do quirks first, you follow you become a member of quirks as the group, and then you can invite him because he's member of the group.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you don't risk an IDK, which he will not do anyway. Although he doesn't say Lion, I'm sure he doesn't.
Okay.
Happy to accept connections from anybody in the inside market research.
Yeah, and he's friends with Tom, which is again my old colleague. You can immediately see where he is, huh?
Tom the right.
Yeah. And Murphy. Murphy's the other one, huh? So if you link with those guys, you get all the research you want to have. Okay. All right.
So he does have his own company.
Yeah, but he's hired. Not sure where he is. What does he say where he works? He doesn't say. Oh, here. The future place.
Research to gaming.
New market research. That's the. Is that a group as well? I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have lots of free events as well in London. Again, Leonard Murphy, and him are probably the biggest names, and they're very active. This one. Gen 2 advisor. Here, see it? Editor-in-chief of the Green Book. No? You know the Green Book, right? Yeah, all the rankings. Again, we should be doing better to connect with them. We're not, but that's another question. All right. Again, this is, you see, this is my previous company, yeah? So this is what he shares. So if you link with them and we do good jobs, and he would share our content. He does basically does it for free, huh? So I mean, I don't know how big his network is, but it's probably big. Yeah, well, you can't see. All right, so I think that was most of what I wanted to say. Groups. Yeah, I explained this already. You can search. Yeah, no, I think we covered this. Huh? Groups. Yeah, this is a good one. Again, if you want to start, there's different groups you can start with. You can start with alumni groups where you worked before, but also from school. Obviously, LSE is very influential in London. I mean, if you're a member of LSE, you don't even have to have studied there, but you'll be invited as well all the time. They have these, great evenings every other month. Company alumni. This is also something that at Skim we're trying to be smarter. Actually, in 5 weeks' time, we'll have our first alumni evening in Rotterdam. Drinks where we want to build on, people having left in a good way. And obviously, Skim being in business for more than 30 years, we have lots of alumni. And we're currently compiling a list, which is already, I think, 180 people. Again, we'll not get all of them because some usually have moved elsewhere and are not available. But again, if we only get 20% of those as a first meeting, just to have a drink. Industry-specific groups. Again, it can be market research, but it could also be again looking at USCOT. It could also be fast-moving consumer goods, but it could also be communications. Yeah, so you really have to think about again where you play. It's not necessarily usually it's broader than you think. And market research, also think there, because obviously there's lots of market research companies that are, for instance, fieldwork agencies. Yeah, they're not really in our space, right? And maybe if you find that appealing, that's fine. But for me, for instance, I'm looking more at the consulting side, which is I think more what we do, is just more giving the advice. So rather than looking down at the fieldwork agencies, I'm looking more at consulting groups who also have more content to share usually. Yeah, most of the consulting houses, again, that's another good tip, is they have good contents. McKinsey Quarterly obviously is the best one. But I also have BCG, my groups, and they have really good emails every month, every week. A quick update of the latest trends, and you can then click pharmaceuticals. Really, really useful.
The Gartner group also.
Gartner, yeah. Well, Forrester. I used to work at Forrester, which is biggest competitor of Gartner, and they're very good in IT. So again, if IT is your thing, and you want to see what's hot there, yeah, Gartner again or Forrester, they have great content.
So you follow the companies like McKinsey and companies?
Yeah, and again, if you follow them and you like probably one update, you get it. But they have also groups, and that groups you can steer a bit more, because if you go to a BCG group, and let's see if we can do that. Then you can set the amount of information you want to receive. You can say, okay, I just want to receive one email a week, a summary of stuff. Let me see if I can do that quickly.
McKinsey Quarterly, so one you mentioned.
Yeah, that's one, and then there's a BCG as well. How do I go back to my home here? Home. And then groups. BCG. Right. Main. Yeah, but this is not what I mean. This is not the group. Is this the group?
No,
This is the company. Bain Digital, Bain Company. Yeah, this one. This is one. You see, people also use BCG. This one, I mean.
So when I do BCG, I get like 4 pages of groups.
Yeah, but you look for this one. This you got the logo.
Yeah, that would be the company.
Yeah, this is the company. I'm looking for the group. Look, but this is the content you get, huh? Yeah. So let me just like this, and then you can just get it. Yeah, but you can also do the group, but I can't find it now. You have it? All right, well, I'll stop here. Yeah, so 50 groups. Again, this is just mine. Just to give you an example, I have a few marketing ones, a few research ones. I'm interested in aging. I'm interested in, you know, you see SMR. That's really, you know, some of those I just receive regular updates. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's it. The summary: become an all-star. Make sure you have your profile not just completed, which is the technical thing, but also think about you know, who you want to be. Make sure, obviously, you use all the tips in terms of URLs, and stay active, as we discussed, on not necessarily on a daily basis, but obviously, if you have it open, I always have it open every day, and try to get to 50 groups in 500 if you have not, and then have fun with it. I think we already have. Okay?
Thank you.
Huh? Here we go.
Can we have the slides?
Yeah. They're on here, so you can just copy them. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Charles. You're still there?
Yeah, I'm still
All
here.
right. Cheers.
Bye, Charles.
See you soon. Bye.
Yeah, you're going to get an actor.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do here. Oh, yeah. Because I have to stop the broadcast.
Wat doe je stop? Ja, kan er niet. Ik weet niet waar de hier is. Oh, beneden. Ja, daar.
Die